𝗪𝗂𝘁𝗂𝗁 everyone. We are very happy to welcome all of you to another afternoon of Dhamma with Sis Sylvia Bay. Thank you for joining us. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Sis Sylvia to all of you today. Sis Sylvia has dedicated herself to the study and practice of the Buddha's teaching since 1992. She holds a BA Honours in Buddhist Studies from the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka and was a lecturer with the alma mater. She also has a Master's in International Public Policy from Johns Hopkins School of Advanced Studies. Since 2001, Sis Sylvia has been a regular speaker on Buddhist doctrines and their practical applications at local and regional Buddhist organizations. In 2013, she published her first book, Between the Lines, an analytical appreciation of the Buddha's life. She's now working on another book titled Towards the Light, the Buddha's Guide to a Heavenly Rebirth. Today we get to hear and learn from Sis Sylvia her views and interpretation, part 1 of the Sigālovada or Sigala Sutta, also known as the Sigala homily, covering the Buddha's advice to lay people, better known as the Sigalovada Sutta from Dīgha Nikāya 31. Allow me to invite Sis Sylvia to lead us with the homage to the Buddha and to commence with the talk. Sis Sylvia?
Shall we put our palms together and we recite 3 times Namo Tassa, okay? This is our way of thanking the Buddha for his teaching. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sigalovada. Vada means advice. Sigala was his name. By the way, it's pronounced as Sigala. Vada is advice. Sigala, not Sigala. When you put in la with a thunder on top of the A, Siga, and then you put a thunder there, it means he's a zabo. She becomes a woman, okay? He becomes a woman. Sigala, without the thunder, means he's a man. He was a man. So this was a discourse given to a young man whose father was a follower of Buddha. And Sigala, this young chap, was a very dutiful son. Not a follower at the point when he met the Buddha, but he was a dutiful son. So today we're going to cover the following portions. I am going to explain why this sutta was chosen as part of a lecture series sponsored by KL Dhamma Friends. I want to show you Sigalovada's place in the Pali Canon, give you an overview, and explain to you the significance of what it means by a lay person and a monastic. Why that? Because this sutta was for lay people. And even for lay people, we can lead a meaningful, fruitful, and spiritual life. Okay? We will go through the sutta. It's a very long sutta. And because it's a very long sutta, we have to cover this over 2 weeks. Today, we will cover 2 parts. Then you say, 3 parts and you cover 2 parts today, next week, no need to do anything, right? No. This part 2 is actually not next week. Part 2 is 2 weeks from now. Part 2, we're going to cover the 3rd portion And then I will explore a few more ideas about Sigālovada. Okay, so you see, we're going to do the backdrop. We're going to cover I said there are 3 parts. One on sīla. What does it mean to be sīla? 2 on how do you discern friends, good friends, bad friends. Buddha gave you a long checklist. How do you tell whether or not the person is 够朋友, good man to be friends with? And finally, there's a whole range of relationships to be managed for harmonious, peaceful, happy daily living. Okay? So, this table gives you an idea what kind of collection there is in the canon. We always talk about the Pali canon. Pali canon broadly comprises 3 series, okay? Vinaya, the discipline, the rules, the training rules for Sangha. Within the Vinaya, within this, you have the history, Mahawagga, Chulavagga, it tells you the history of the rules. And then you have the details on the rules. Then this one, which we are more familiar with, these are the discourses. In the discourses, we know of 5 sections, 5 sets. This one has the most. This is almost like miscellaneous. And in the miscellaneous, there are all these books. Mangala Sutta, Ratana Sutta, they are all found in Sutta Nipata, Kuddaka, you may be familiar with Dhammapada. Buddha's life is said to be covered by Jataka and so on. This is the 15th series. Today, we are going to look at this one. Dīgha Nikāya, long, lengthy saying. Dīgha means long. So this is the lengthy discourses. All the discourses found here are the longest in this collection. So Mahasatipatthana is found here, Mahaparinibbana Sutta is found here. These are the really long ones. It stretches into many pages. Majjhima, you may be familiar with. This is usually known as, many suttas there are for meditation, discussing the nature of the mind and so on and so forth. Mochima. Samyutta, Anguttara, this is connected. They are divided by themes. These are divided by numbers. And then Abhidhamma, which I don't want to go into details, okay? So today, we are looking at Sigālovada. It's found here, the long saying. So by that, you can assume that the sutta is going to be long, lengthy. Okay, that in a series, if for those of you who have joined us earlier, you know that we had covered Ratana Sutta, Mangala Sutta. Now is Sigālovada to be covered in 2 weeks, 2 sessions, over 2 sessions. And all these suttas are very useful for lay people and practitioners to be familiar with, to reflect, and to apply in our daily life. Buddha, many of us forget that Buddha had lived 29 years as a lay person. In this 29 years, he had family, he had to deal with family business, he had to manage relationship with all his relatives, wife, he had a wife whom he married at 16. They lived more than 10 years together, 15 years together. And eventually he had a son. So he led a full lay life, meaning to say it was a lay life where he was educated, he had his experience, he learned how to make money, he learned how to handle the family resources. He knew the worries, the problems of daily living, okay, lay life living. Because he lived somewhat of a full lay life, he was in a wonderful position to combine his wisdom with advice for a fruitful, meaningful, happy daily living, okay? Oh, I've already covered this. The main theme of Sigālovada was really, how do you live a lay life happily, harmoniously, without this sense of too much stress. Stress is a given, but not too excessive. At the end, if you were to apply Sigālovada into your life, at the end of which, as you lie on your deathbed, you're going to look back and say, it's okay. It was a good life. And if you had done that, based on your understanding and application of Sigālovada, then you would say, thank you, Buddha, for helping me achieve this. Okay? And this is not just for yourself, by the way. If you understand this and you find that it's very useful, this is also something you can share with your family members, your children, your spouse, your friends, and so on. Okay? Why am I comparing? You see, we are lay people, and I want you to reflect on this. You are a lay person. How are you different? How is your life different from the life of a monastic? Some of you there may even think about wanting to become nuns or monks. Reflect on this. Why is a lay life that different from monastic? Other than the fact that they have a uniform and you don't. They wear robes, you don't. They have precepts to follow, you don't. They shave their heads, you don't. But other than this form, the form, what is the essence of a monastic life? How is that essence different from a lay life? And the key 2 points are, actually 2 key points. One, monastic has no resources. Their resources depend on lay people. Okay, we're talking about the Buddhist monks and nuns, the Buddhist monastic, not the innovations over the years. When the Buddha introduced the Sangha, he laid down certain rules about how they were supposed to live their life. And for them, it was very big on right livelihood. Right livelihood means, how do you stay alive? How do you sustain yourself, upkeep yourself without earning a living? How do you do that? And for the monks, that was a preoccupation. For lay people, you go out, you work, you accumulate. You put in the banks, you invest in whatever shares and whatever. You are allowed to multiply your assets. And of course, you will also drain it. So for a lay person, one important preoccupation is, how do you upkeep yourself from the way you earn a living, right? And the second one about a lay person is blood ties. Whether through marriage or through blood, you chose to live in families, and you do not just migrate around families. Monastic is different. They go from places to places, monastery to monasteries. They are all brothers of the Sangha. But if they don't like this brother, they can move on to another monastery and live with other brothers. You can't. You don't like your parents, you have to stay put. You don't like your wife, you cannot just leave her, no? And your children, there are no such thing. You have more permanent ties. So the key difference between the lay life and monastic, the two key differences are, you have resources that you grow and you're obliged to, and you have relationships which are permanent, right? So you look at the way I say, lay has responsibility for financial, physical upkeep of self and loved ones. You must earn your money, look after yourself, look after your loved ones. So you have to amass resources. And therefore, you have to think about how you spend your resources. A lay person has familial relationship and social obligations, correct? These are the two key things. So Sigālovada, throughout the sutta, addresses these 2 points. Okay? The key element of Sigālovada is how do you tread that balance between wholesomeness, wholesome daily living, while increasing your assets, increasing your funds, maintaining relationship. 对不对? You think about it. When you get loba dosa, when you get angry, when you get greedy, when you feel the jealousy because someone got promotion, etc., etc., it's all boiled down to money, assets, and the relationship. When you get upset and angry, you're upset with somebody in your life around you, and so on. Okay. And I also ask this question. For the two monastic and lay people, what's a common feature? All humans desire advancement. Whether it's material, mundane, secular advancement, or more spiritual one. Advancement means from where I am, I want to do better. Okay, from where I am, I want to improve. That's the idea. Every one of us sitting down here, sitting down here, all of us deep down, we desire a change for the better, right? Even if you say, I'm not very interested in money, but you are interested in knowing the Dhamma. So there is advancement in mind. I want to grow in my understanding of Dhamma. There is this idea of change for the better. So both monastic, lay people, they have this. It's a given. Okay, sutta proper. The backdrop. I summarized it for you. Basically, at that time, Buddha was staying in Weluwana, which is near Rajagaha. Okay. The last week, when we talk about Mangala Sutta was in Savatthi, Jetavana. Okay. Savatthi was the capital of Kosala. Rajagaha is the capital of Magadha. In ancient India, during the Buddha's time, there were 4 major kingdoms captured in the canon. There were 4 major kingdoms. The Buddha had extensive connections with these 2 kingdoms, Magadha and Kosala. Buddha himself was a citizen of the Kosalan kingdom. Okay? His family land, Kapilawatu, that land, sits within the kingdom of Kosala. In his later part of years, Buddha spent a lot of time in Kosala. But in the early days, oddly enough, earliest days and the latest days, there were 2 periods where he actually spent a lot of time in Rajagaha, Magadha. Okay? So Buddha was at that time, there. And while he was going for his alms round, Buddha would go for his alms round early in the morning. He came across Sigala. And I captured this because I want to show you the ritual. In their ritual, wet hair, wet clothes, it's supposed to be pious. It's a show of pious. So he has wet hair, wet clothes, in the middle of nowhere, worshipping 6 directions. Buddha proactively, he did not say, I see nothing, I hear nothing, I just walk. He stopped and he asked Sigala, what are you doing so early in the morning? Sigala said, I am following my late father's instruction. He wanted me to pray in 6 directions. And the Buddha said, yeah, but that's not how it's done. Not in the tradition, in the training of the noble one. Okay? This phrase, noble one, it's something to bear in mind for all of us. We may say, noble one, yeah, but that's Arya, right? That's enlightened being. When you are training to be wholesome, when you're training to be a good person, that effort to be a good person already make you in the training of the noble one. Why do I say that? You think about it. When you are living yourself in your daily life, if you give in to your instincts and you just lash out as you wish, you just gratify your sense spaces as you wish, you have a sense of jealousy, you just feel jealous and act on it. When you give in to your instincts, you are behaving no more than like the national average. There's nothing noble about that. But every time you hold back, every time you hold that tongue, you restrain yourself from acting in a negative way, every time you do that, you are in the training of the noble one. Because if you do it right, your mind is clean and pure. It's that clean and pure mind that makes you noble. Not the fact that you are wearing a robe or something. It's when you try and you are successful. When you try, you're sincere and you are successful. You manage to do it. Situationally, you manage to do it. You hold back. At that moment, you are treading the Buddha's path. Okay? Every time you hold your tongue in check, you restrain yourself, you are walking that Buddha's path. And that makes you noble. Okay? I said that this interaction was probably rather early in the Buddha's dispensation, meaning he was at that time probably black hair, 30 plus, probably. Why? Because he's alone. He was wandering alone. In his later years, Ananda is always there, was always there. But every time you read that he was alone, it must be the earlier years. Okay, that's how you tell. He was a very independent young man. So that tells you that when he needed an attendant, it's not because he's getting very, I'm the Buddha, I need attendant, parade of entourage. It doesn't mean that. It probably meant he needed help. Okay? And I said this is an instance of his compassionate, proactive intervention because, as I said, he didn't have to. Most of us, we just look, stare, take picture, post on Facebook. Do we even stop to say, what is wrong? Can I help you? But he did that. He just stopped and he helped. So it tells you that a practitioner has deep compassion, strong, powerful metta, and deep compassion. So he stopped to us. Buddha wasn't being 𝗃𝗧, so don't ever let me catch you say Buddha was being 𝗃𝗧. He wasn't. He knew this guy needed help. Okay. And remember, the guy was saying, I'm worshipping the six direction, just bow, 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 bow. That's a ritual. The Buddha said, but that's not how you do it correctly. The Buddha said, when noble disciple, again, I said earlier, right? When you are in the training and you try to restrain your negativities, you are being a noble disciple, okay? And the noble disciple gives up. For the translation done by Ajahn Sujato here is, he calls it corrupt deeds, but others have called it defilements. The word is 𝗪𝗪, which I will explain later, okay? The word corrupt has a connotation. I won't call it corrupt, but since I'm using his translation, I just keep everything as is, and I'll explain where necessary. So here it means 4 kinds of staining activities. 4 kinds of staining actions. So when you give up these 4 kinds of staining actions, when you are not motivated in 4 ways, you don't have 4 motivations, and you avoid doing 6 things. Avoid 6 drains on wealth means avoid 6 types of activities. All these are 14 sets of activities. When you can do that, you have covered the 6 directions. Why the 6 directions? Here, the 6 directions, here it means entire world. If you do not undertake any of this 14 acts, 14 types of activities, because 4 of them are motivations, then 你问心无愧，对得起天下. You have not failed heaven and earth and all around you. In other words, your conscience is clean in all directions. 6 quarters means in all directions. Okay? Then the Buddha said, this person, the word he used, practicing, because we are not arahants. Day by day by day, we have to make effort, hence practicing, to win in both worlds, succeed in this world and the next. It means you are in this life trying to live correctly, happily. When you live in a wholesome way, it is correct, but the benefit of that is you will be happy, you will be joyous, okay? And not just that, Buddhists believe in a next life. So here he said, you can do this in this life, and in your rebirth, you will be fine. You are creating the conditions for yourself to be joyous in this life and the next. You win and you win again, okay? And here he said, body breaks up after death. He was very specific. When he mentioned it like this, when he characterized it like this, your form breaks up, there will be a rebirth, okay? So when he wants to talk about death, he usually says it like that. When the form breaks up, and then there is death, after which there is a rebirth. This is how he said it. So he didn't say, Sigala, what's wrong with you? Why you bow? He didn't say that. He said, you want to honor the 6 directions? This is how you must do it. So the critical element here is understanding. You can undertake any rituals. You can do any rituals. But if you perform that ritual mindlessly, no understanding, you are caught up in the steps, the chanting, the music. It's meaningless. You're not doing it right. But if you are doing something, you're performing an act to help you anchor your mind on wholesomeness. The point here is wholesomeness. You look, all the 14 points are about wholesomeness. So your ritual must anchor you, your mind, on an understanding with wholesomeness. How do you know it's wholesome and skillful? Because at the end of your ritual, you must feel joy. Okay? You must feel joy. You must feel all these wholesome mental qualities. Whatever rituals that you want to every day bow at the door before you enter your house, also can. But at the end of which you must say, I'm honoring this doorway. I leave my troubles and dukkha at the outside of the door, and as I enter into the refuge of my house with the love I have for my family. I'm just quoting happily, saying whatever comes to mind. But the point is, you can adopt any ritual as long as that ritual is anchored on understanding and wholesomeness. So do not tell people Buddhism got no bowing one. Nonsense. There is bowing, because bowing is respect. It's gratitude. All this wonderful bowings has a meaning. Do it. Okay? It's fine. So we continue. We have 18 slides to cover today. I think that was slide number 4. Okay. 4 corrupt deeds. I said I will explain the word 𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗃, right? Karma means deliberate and conscious choice. Karma is not about the boomerangs from the past. Kaboom. You know, we like to think about karma as, it's my karma, I must suffer. Nonsense. You suffer because you have loba dosa. And you act according to your loba dosa, you will suffer. So it is the act, the choice. I choose to scold, so I feel the effects of the anger. That's karma, a deliberate and conscious choice. Kilesa means a stain, affliction, stain, a defilement, whatever. So it is an action that stains the mind. Okay? The 4 types of action that stains the mind. It's a very long word. And the Buddha said a person, individual, must give up 4 𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗃, kilesa. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying. Okay? Note, only 4 precepts. Those are your precepts, right? But the 5th one is missing. So that's why I said earlier that this must have taken place very early in his dispensation. So in the earliest of years of the Buddha's dispensation, there were only four precepts. Okay? And the idea here is any action that hurts another in speech and body. Speech and body. It hurts, it causes pain, don't do it. So you remember what they always say about, the Buddha says, all Buddhas would teach this. Avoid evil, do good, purify mind, right? This one is avoid evil. It's very specific. Okay? Then you say, yeah, but a lot of us, we don't kill and we don't steal and we don't have sexual misconduct. And maybe once in the blue moon, we only have white lie. The regular person will put a bit of a discount on the 4th one. Well, you know, this is ancient India. In ancient India, there was no NTUC. There was no supermarket. If you want to eat meat, you have to go to where they sell live creature and you choose. So many of them in ancient India would have been guilty of taking life. Okay? And stealing in our definition is when you take something that doesn't belong to you, right? Buddha's definition in Pali is adinadana. What has not been given to you and you take it is stealing. It is breaking the precept, not stealing, breaking the precept. What has not been given to you, you take it, you are breaking precepts. Which means to say, if you go to a common property, those fruits on the road, you didn't plant them, they don't belong to you, you happily just gather and bring it home. Actually, that is a form of adinadana. That is a form of it, okay? Then it depends on how strict you want to be, because this is about restraining your greed. Your greed. In Singapore, they used to tear parking coupon. These days, they don't have it, but they used to tear parking coupons. And it is very common in Singapore for people to let's just say, extend the time. So the amount of money allows you to park for 1 hour, then they will extend by 10 minutes here, extend by 10 minutes there, and then they extend it. So actually, all of us who drive and we do something like this, we cheat on the timing, that's adinadana. Okay? No, it is actually it's a lot more common than you imagine it to be. well, sexual misconduct is relatively straightforward. And lying is the big problem. Many of us, I actually expect, many a times when I give a talk on right speech and I talk about lying, right, almost invariably someone will ask, white lie, fudging the truth to help people can or not? By the Buddha's teaching, no. As long as you know it is not true, cannot. There are reasons why we are very strict about this. But for today's talk, I will just tell you, there is no such thing as colored lies, colored truths. There are no such thing, okay? It's either yes or no, right or wrong. There is no gray. There's shades of gray, light gray, dark gray. There's no such things, okay? So this is on 4 corrupt deeds. We go on. This one I want to talk a bit more on 4 grounds. These are your 4 motivations. You look at your mind. At any one time that the mind drifts towards akusala, it has to be one of these 4 motivations. I put in the Pali words because the English translation has a little bit of the nuances. I don't like the nuancing. I feel that the nuancing can be, it has to be understood properly, okay? I read to you first. On what grounds do they not do bad deeds? In other words, all akusala has to be driven by one of these 4 motivations. All akusala, okay? Everything unwholesome must be motivated by one of these 4. Chanda, it's not just favoritism. Chanda is preferences, desire, wanting, okay? We do something bad because there's a desire somewhere, a desire for something, then leads you to do something bad. That akusala, okay? Chanda literally means desire, wanting. That is why some people even have argued with me before that chanda is good. Chanda is not good or bad. Chanda merely wants what? Because if you have an aspiration for spiritual cultivation to realize nibbana, they call it chanda. It is chanda, okay? The 4 bases of power starts with chanda. This is chanda, it's the same word. But in this particular case, this is a wanting, a yearning, okay? And a yearning in this case is yearning for your regular gains, praises, pleasure, that kind of thing. It's the same. Dosa, you know, is anger, ill will, hatred, the dosa. Actually, maybe not hatred, it's just hostility is actually a pretty good word. It means ill will. Moha is not just stupidity. Stupidity has a not so nice connotation. Moha usually is translated as delusion. But I know why that word is also not ideal. Because moha, if you don't understand the Dhamma, you will always see the world in a perverted way, in a wrong way. If you don't understand the Dhamma, the lens through which you see the world will always be moha, delusion, corruption, fabrication. I'm using the adjectives to share with you how difficult it is to understand this word. You remember the show, oh, I forgot. There was a show many years ago about this guy who was born into a fictional environment, and he literally grew up in that fictional environment. And in that environment, I don't know what happened to it. I never watched the show, but the idea here is you are caught in a fictional world, but as far as you're concerned, that is your world. This is your reality. But then But if you know the truth, you will realize that that world that he was living in was a delusion, was a fake world. We are all living with that kind of a mentality. We have a perception of reality, but that perception of reality is corrupted. It's wrong. It's not real. It's real, but not truth. It's real because you can interact and everyone else will interact with you, and that convinces you that this is real. But to interact in this way, you are already seeing it through corrupted lenses. Okay, that's the idea. Moha is like that. You can now imagine how difficult it is to translate this word, because any word that you use in English will not be ideal. It's not perfect. Okay. So a corrupted illusion, delusion. Bhaya is fear. It means you're afraid. It doesn't mean that you are a coward. It actually means you are afraid. That is fear. So if you think about it, every time you experience an akusala moment, an unwholesome moment, you want to lie. Why do you lie? Why did you feel compelled to speak a statement that is less than truth, absolute truth? It's because you have some desire. It's because you're afraid. Usually these are the two big ones. Or maybe you're lying. You're angry with someone, so you just lie, get him into trouble. That kind of thing. There has to be one of these that lead you to break your precepts. Okay. So a noble disciple, one in training will not have these four motivations, and therefore they don't do akusala things. That's the idea here. And the Buddha said, so this beautiful little stanza, if you act against the teaching, out of these four motivations, your social standing, your fame gets affected. Your fame shrinks like the moon in the waning fortnight. Waning because it's coming down. You will get worse and worse and worse. And if you don't act against the teaching out of these, you do not undertake an akusala action because of these four motivations, then your reputation will improve, like the moon in the waxing fortnight. It will go up, it will get better, you get prominent. Okay, so that's four motivations. Now we go into all the many details. And here we won't spend as much time. You remember I said 4 precepts, but no mention of the 5th one. Here is the 5th precept. So it tells you that even very early in the Buddha dispensation, he already had reservations about liquor. This is specifically liquor, intoxicant. And why? If you read the Dhammapada verses, you will find that there were a few stories about how people got drunk and misbehaved, do all kinds of stupid things when they were drunk. It tells you that in ancient India, that society used a lot of liquor in their ceremony, in their entertainment, in how they relieve themselves and so on. There was a lot of misuse of liquor in that time. And the Buddha took a stand. He was telling a young man. Now, the young men of those days, and not very different from the young men of our days, they probably will go into liquor. But here, the Buddha was telling this young man, don't habitually engage in, there were 6 of them that he introduced here. Habitually engaging in the following: drinking liquor, link number 1, roaming the streets at night, frequenting festivals, gambling, bad friends, and laziness. Okay. And we will explore all of them in sequence, with liquor as number one. The point that the Buddha said, remember when I started this talk, I said there are two things which a lay person is very concerned about: his assets and the relationship. So this part about the teaching was all about assets, drains on assets, okay? Do not excessively indulge or you will literally drain assets. Leak, your assets will leak away. The first one, as I said, was about drinking. And he gave you 6 reasons not to drink. You drink, immediately it costs money. With the GST and the duty taxes and all, it comes out to a lot of money. And he talks about how it causes people to fight, to have quarrels. It tells you that your health gets affected. Your physical health gets affected, susceptibility to illness, that you will suffer a loss of reputation. You may have indecent exposure and it weakens your intelligence. You tell me, this man, the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, was literally the first teacher to take a strong stand against alcoholism, against drinking. This is not even alcoholism, but maybe it is because it's habitually drinking. But the point here is he was the first teacher to take a stand against drinking. And he gave you really good reasons, which until today, 2,500 years later, the doctors will agree with you. The part about it causes damage to your health and it burns your brain. You get stupider if you drink. I thought it was, I wrote it down because you will find that in Sigālovada, there are many things that he suggests which are, my gosh, this is so relevant to the modern age. And this is the first one, the very first one. Disrepute. People get drunk and they do funny things. So here he said, avoid drinking. Because if you overindulge, it gets as bad as like that, okay? These are how bad it can get. Loss of wealth, quarrel, fights, poor health, and so on, okay? Next one. When I was teaching this in class, I remember students used to ask, why cannot go out at night? And my reply to them, as I am replying today, is this. We live in a very different time. In our time, we have street lights all over, right? Most major cities, in fact, all majors, if you are called a city, you will have street lights that literally light up every corners. In ancient India, it was pure darkness. The only light source was the light source from the moon and the man-made lantern or candle or whatever you call it. There were no street lights. So family men, why are we talking about family men? Because in ancient India, people married very young. Buddha, who married at 16, was considered older, okay, older. But it's very common for people to be married as soon as the woman have their menstruation, the men are ready, they can go and get married. Yeah? So Sigala, probably a married man, which is why he had to cover it like this. Because only the married man can take over the family business. Huh? And a married man, why would you be out in the streets? That's the idea. It's a practice of the old day where if you're married, you go home. The streets are dangerous at night. So if you were out there when you shouldn't be, then the odds are you are also not up to good stuff. You may be up to nonsense. Okay? So Buddha said, don't do it because you will leave yourself vulnerable. Your family, your property will all be vulnerable. When something happens, you will be the first suspect. You're suspected of bad deeds. People will talk about you. You will be at the forefront of many things that will give you a lot of headache. So understand this particular advice in the context of time. If I were to take this and apply it today, I would say it like this. Today, in our age now, we have COVID. COVID's everywhere. You must exercise wisdom and prudence, not to be running around loose and getting yourself at risk for infection. That's the idea. Whatever that you do, do it with wisdom and prudence. Do not try and indulge, because why these guys roaming out there, they were indulging. Do not let your indulgence get the better of your judgment. That's the idea. Okay? Don't let your desire for pleasure and gratification get the better of your prudence. That's the idea here. Okay? And again, in ancient time, you see, in our world, theaters are everywhere. Pubs, I don't know, concerts, SSO symphonies or whatever. They are, entertainment places are everywhere, but not in ancient India. In ancient India, you have village festivals. We know that. We know that because there was one such festival that led to Sariputta and Moggallana deciding that they will leave house and go in search of spirituality, liberation. So there were festivals, but those are not common. And therefore, these kind of activities are probably very severe indulgence. So Buddha was saying that if anyone spends his time being caught up, being fixated about entertainment and going outside roaming in search of entertainment. So 6 and 7 come together. They will roam, they will hunt, they will enjoy, they will get drunk, they will indulge. So he's saying that when you do any of these things, you end up spending resources, okay? This is very cute. So we know ancient India also, they gamble. Not only Chinese gamble, Indians also gamble. And here he said, when you win, people don't like you. When you lose, you're very sad. You're very sad. See this cute one? Victory breeds enmity. Loser mourns loss of money. You lose, you're sad. You win, you make people angry. There is immediate loss of wealth. That's assuming you lose. Gambler's word carries no weight in public assembly. People treat them with contempt. And nobody wants to marry you. So if you look at this and go, well, it's nothing, it's quite clever, it's sensible and still applies today, right? When your child comes back and says she wants to marry this guy or he wants to marry this woman, and then the family finds out that, oh, the person gambles a lot, every weekend at the racetracks and 4D and betting, and then you go, not a very good partner for a spouse. Same. Buddha time, same. Centuries later, we are still very similar. I won't go into details this one because subsequently there's a lot said on friends, okay? The point here is, if you had attended the talk last week, we talked about associating with the wise, disassociating with the fools. Here is very specific. Bad friends are foolish friends. People who, when you when you engage them and you mix around with them, it will only cost you more pain. It will cost you to become more akusala. As when you mix with a person and you find yourself experiencing much dukkha, lots of craving, lots of agitation, they are all not good people to engage, to associate with, okay? And the final one, laziness. And it's quite cute, but basically, you see, remember what we said, that he was advising a lay person on resource management and relationship management. A lazy person will not be able to work very well and make money, and before you know it, the resources are all drained. That's the idea. So whether you say is basically, how do you know a person is lazy? When the fellow makes excuses all the time. These are all excuses. Huh? As long as, it can be any excuse. It doesn't have to be, you don't take a checklist and say, well, he didn't say it's one of the 6, therefore he's not lazy. No. As long as the person makes excuses because he doesn't want to work, that's lazy, as far as the Buddha is concerned. Huh? Okay. Now we talk about friends. This is the second segment. The first segment was all about wholesome activities, wholesomeness. Do not perform 4 types of action motivated by 4 kinds, or have 4 kinds of motivation, underpinned by 4 kinds of akusala motivations. Do not perform 4 kinds of actions underpinned by 4 kinds of akusala motivations. And then you have 6 types of ways of activity, 6 types of activities that drain your resources, okay? Then he had this entire segment on friends. This one is, in my view, very relevant and very helpful to bear in mind, okay? Friend who is a flatterer. People who support you when you're doing bad, A1. Support you when, they support you equally in doing bad and doing good, praise you to your face and put you down behind your back. The idea here is they are not even, you want to do, they help you. You want to do anything also, they will support you. You want to go and take a fight, they also say, correct. Very good, very good. So the idea here is, if your friend is always in agreement, and now behind you, you wouldn't know, but in front of you, he's always praising you. Someone who is always praising you has a problem. Maybe you think about it, huh? Just think about it. You don't have to say, you praise me all the time, therefore you're a bad person. Maybe he praised everybody. You may have a person who is very kusala, and all he has is just metta. And so when he sees people, he only has nice things to say, maybe. But if you hear your friend talking bad behind other people, the point is, if your friend talks bad behind other people, you must immediately wonder, this person has akusala, you know. If he talks bad about other people, he may well talk bad about you. Why is talking bad a problem? Anyone who talks motivated by anger, agitation, greed, lobha dosa, that person within him has strong akusala, has a problem being a good friend. So that's why, rather than be fixated about the checklist, I have pointed out that one should be careful about friends who have very strong lobha, greed, and very much into indulgence. This is all indulgence. Spends your money some more. So anyone who has very strong desires and is very much into indulgence and has akusala is very obvious. Akusala means the person can't help but talk bad about people. So when a person talks bad about people, you listen and you are affected. You may say, oh, I don't listen. You are not Arahan. You are a regular person. You will be affected. And so your mind goes from wholesome to unwholesome just listening to this person. Therefore, this person is someone you have to be very careful. Okay? Oh, I knew why. I went too fast. I missed out this page. I was wondering what happened to the other page. These four are people who take and the people who talk. Taking means your things becomes theirs. Giving little, expect a lot. Do their duty of fear. Associate with you for their own advantage. Buddha said you should recognize these four enemies disguised as friends. The talker, the taker, the talker, the flatterer, the spender. So a fake friend is one who... Can we all have the mics off, please? Someone's mic is on. A fake friend is one who takes what? Takes your possession. They give very little, but they expect a lot. They do their duty of fear. They associate for their own advantage. And then the friends who's all talk, they are hospitable in the past, future, but not now. The point is, they are good to you, or they tell you, I've been very nice to you, you know, in the past. And I will be very nice to you in the future. But when you ask them for help now, suddenly they're very busy. Suddenly their handphone is off. Okay? Now, so you see this, and then we go on. And this one we talked about earlier. And then comes this part. Anyone with very strong desire and into indulgence, be careful. NATO, no action, talk only. Okay? The idea here is the fella talks a lot and a lot, boasting happily about how they will be there for you to the death. Then at the first sign of problem, he's nowhere to be found. You ask for help and the person is not available. So the advice that the Buddha gave us is look at people's action. What they say and what they do must be aligned. If it is not aligned, then there is a problem. Either this person doesn't know himself and is happily overselling himself, or the person is a pathological liar. Now, if you look at the words that he put here, we are likely to say, actually, these are very, we can tell these things. Right? We can tell when someone is loba and a lot of greed, and not very nice. We can tell these things. Then how is it we can end up making friends, all kinds of friends? And this is something we will explore at the end, okay? So I want you to bear in mind this. You look at what the Buddha advised, what kind of people you have to be careful. The people who take, people who doesn't give, people who talk a lot, people who spend your money. These are the bad ones. These are the enemies. And you bear this in mind as we look at the next lot of friends whom the Buddha called good people. You should recognize these four good-hearted friends. Helper, the friend who's the same in good times and bad. The counselor and the compassionate man, compassionate one. So the helper, he guard you when you're negligent, guard your property when you're negligent, keep you safe, and when you need something done, they help you. No questions asked, they will help. They'll be there for you. The friend who is the same in good times and bad, this thing about telling you secret and you keep their secret, it means you talk to each other in confidence. And they do not go and put onto social media what you share in confidence. They honor your trust. Friends who honor your trust, they don't betray you. They are there for you, okay? We also know that this is good. These are good friends. We can tell that, right? A person who is loyal, stand by you, hard time, good time, they support you, they are trustworthy, they don't walk out on you. We know these things. We conceptually, we say, yeah, we know this. We know this. This is a good friend. We also like this. We don't like the other ones and we like this one. Huh? The counselor is a tricky one. Counselor, because keeping you from doing good, bad, support you when you're doing good, teach you what you do not know, explain the path to heaven. This means a friend who is wise. The counselor is someone who is wise and someone who is wholesome. It's very simple. You want to recognize what is a good friend to have is you have to see for yourself the person is wholesome, kusala, skillful. Because only the one who is wholesome, when you say explain the path to heaven, right? You may think, oh, the guy is a Dhamma teacher or someone who is spiritual, you know, he meditated. No. Wholesome. Explaining the path to heaven is not about telling you the Dhamma, it's not just that. It's really about how this person uphold wholesomeness in daily life. Just explaining the Dhamma conceptually is not wholesome and may not take you to heaven. But if he doesn't know anything, if the person doesn't know anything, but he keeps telling you, never mind, let go, don't get angry, this is peaceful, harmony, it's okay, it doesn't matter, just let it be. It's simple like that. This person is a good person. Okay? He will explain the path to heaven. A compassionate friend is one who doesn't delight in your misfortune. They have mudita. Delight in your good fortune. They have mudita. They keep others from criticizing you. They encourage praise of you. Okay, so you say, yeah, but I'm not there with him in the behind. How do I know whether he's doing all these things for me? You know because how he treats you, what he says to you, what your friend says to you is probably what it's a behavioral thing. If he says good things about people, he praises people, he identifies everything that is nice about people, then this guy speaks wholesomely. Whether or not he's talking about you, he is someone who will speak wholesomely. But if this person is always criticizing people, always has something negative to say about people, then you know what makes you so special that he will only speak praises of you. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you engage with people, okay, and this one, you know, there will be the wholesome guys whom when you spend time with this person, at the end of which you're going to part companies feeling very comfortable, feeling very inspired to practice, feeling that you want to be a good person, as opposed to after you walk away from the encounter, your heart is heavy, your mind is disturbed, you are a bit agitated, you are reflecting on something akusala and negative, then I'm telling you this person has a problem and you are being sucked into the quicksand of problems. That's all. Then you say, yeah, but then sometimes my friends run into trouble. True? Then my question to you is, how often? Every time you meet this friend, every time there is a problem, the problem is your friend. If you meet this friend and 10 times you meet this joy in the engagement, and one time there are problems to resolve, then this is where you must be the friend to step in and help. See what I'm saying? It means the person really needs help and would appreciate it if you're there for him. But if you're this friend, 9 times out of 10 in the engagement, it causes you all this agitation and aggravations, and you still go for the 10th time, and you still go for the 11th time. I must really congratulate you on patience. Very good patience you have. Then you say, yeah, but then I cannot let my friends down. You know, if you are not helping your friend become more kusala, but instead you are getting stained by the akusala, what are you doing? You have forgotten, do not associate with the fools, associate only with the wise. You've forgotten that Buddha's advice can be put into use directly. If you choose not to apply it, and then you sit down there and complain about the Dhamma not helping you, then it's really, you don't know how to apply, or you have no courage to apply the teaching. Okay? Now, what kind of friends are good? What kind of friends? I will tell you. I say wholesome, then trustworthy, wisdom, courage. I will give you a whole long list. Gratitude, generosity. Gratitude, generosity. Wisdom if they have. Wisdom means they are forgiving. Wisdom and generosity go hand in hand, by the way. Wisdom and generosity goes hand in hand. If you have wisdom, invariably there is generosity. Generosity here, chaga here, means an open-heartedness. Open-heartedness. It's not just I give you money, I give you money, I give you things to eat. So your friends who is the regular food supplier depends. Maybe, but it's not enough. I tell you what else is chaga, what else is generosity. Generosity is you're willing to forgive, you're able to forgive, you're able to concede. You do not mind letting people win an argument. If let's say you are very generous with things, treats, but you must always win an argument, you are not really very generous. Your chaga has a problem. It's only food chaga, tangible goods chaga. Your chaga got brand on, right? This is not real chaga. Chaga means the capacity of the mind to let be, to forgive, to embrace. Chaga underpins all kusala state. Sorry, all kusala state. All kusala state underpinned by chaga. Everything wholesome underpinning it is chaga. Okay. So a wholesome friend, a good friend, is one with chaga and gratitude, specifically gratitude. Because when the person has gratitude, the person has contentment. If the person has no contentment, he has no gratitude. You think about it, the time that you complain is when you are not satisfied. Who complain when they are satisfied? You know, I really love what you're doing, but I must complain. This doesn't make sense, right? Can you see the disconnect? When you are satisfied, means you're content, you will not complain. You will have gratitude. Oh, it is so nice that you're doing this for me. Thank you very much. That's how it works. Okay? So, good person, generosity, contentment, and with those, wisdom. Okay. So my final slide today, after which we will do I'll answer questions. So how can you tell good friends from bad? This is where the application comes in. We said earlier that all the Buddha's teaching, all of the Buddha's teaching, we must reflect, and we think about how they can be applied. So now I ask you to reflect. You have many friends. Every one of us here have many friends, all kinds of friends. When you and your friends, we made these friends over the years. My question, what drives your choice of friends, is you ask yourself, how did you come to become friends with these individuals? Why do I ask you to think about this? Because the answer here will tell you, you are gearing your friends, you're gearing towards the wholesome friends or the akusala ones. There has to be a correlation. What drives your choice of friends will give you a clue as to what kind of friends you have. More wholesome and helpful ones, or more unwholesome and destructive ones. Okay? I will unveil the answer in a short while, but now I ask you to think about this. Next time, I should ask everyone to carry, I don't know, play cards so they can write answers and scribble and put on there. We can see if you look at your friends and you see that actually the friends are people you meet at work. And then that doesn't say a lot. It means that maybe you are not very social, or maybe you have no life. You only have work life and Dhamma life. And so your friends are all found at work. But then you think a bit deeper. The venue doesn't count. What drove you together counts. So you say, I have drinking friends. I have friends that I spend time with to watch movies and travel and go for food and go for exercises and all. What it means is you find your friends in places where you find delight and enjoyment and indulgence. Doesn't say anything yet, okay? And then you say the ones that I make good friends with are the ones that we spend the most time indulging. I leave you to think about the ... part. Or you said, I met all my good friends while we were attending classes together, Dhamma classes together. So all my friends are all Dhamma friends. We all met together, okay? Sounds promising, because everyone who meet in the Dhamma class in the spiritual world means there is an effort to be better, okay? Trying to be better. Then you say, yes, so we do certain things, like we go and serve, serving in the community, doing social work, very good, very good. It means the individuals that you have gathered around you, you share a desire for wholesomeness. So this is promising. This means whether or not they are pure yet, it doesn't matter. It means their effort. They are noble ones, treading in the path of the noble ones, okay? Then you say, oh no, we are only in class doing Dhamma courses together. Okay, that's not bad. Until you start saying, actually, we argue a lot and we fight a lot and we have a lot of views and we're arguing. Now you have people who may be in a wholesome area of activity, but seemingly lacking understanding, and the result of which is you have projected into your Dhamma your ego. And then you're not growing together. You're having problems there already. So you look at how you and your friends came together. Is it indulgence, or is it in spiritual pursuit? Is it in professional setting? Was it a professional setting, or a mutual interest in something which is actually quite okay, kusala? I don't know. I honestly have no idea. But you must know for yourself, because how you came together tells you a motivation. In that motivation, you will know, is it kusala or akusala, or neither. But if it's neither, you look a bit deeper. There is something there still. Let's say you say, we came together because we're a stamp collector. We collect stamps together. collect coins together. Sounds very kusala. No, actually it's 𝗨𝗏 that drove you together. Okay, that doesn't matter, but you think about this. Huh? The second issue is, how do we know whether someone is a good friend, right? And earlier on, I mentioned before, the friend, study, see, observe for yourself. This person, whenever this person opened the mouth, is it more wholesome or more unwholesome? 你不知道咩? You can't tell the difference. Of course you can, because I'll give you a little trick. The trick is this. Every time the mouth opens and whatever is said, you feel better. You feel joyous. You feel relief. You feel calm. You are calmer. You are happier. You are more relaxed. You don't feel aggravated, agitated. Then whatever is being shared is actually wholesome. I'm not talking about ruckus laughter. I'm talking about calming effects, gentler. You feel the sense of positivity. But if it's the other way around, opposite, you come together, and instead of rejoicing and feeling good about each other, you actually feel very agitated. You feel yourself wanting more, seeking more, searching more, being dissatisfied or discontent, feeling suspicious, being skeptical. That group is generating unwholesome energy. If you cannot go in if you, by your contribution, if you are unable to switch this energy from unwholesome to wholesome, and instead you are merging, you're just getting yourself deeper and deeper into the unwholesomeness, at some point, if you have wisdom, you should get out. Okay? And I end with this final question. Are you yourself a good friend? If you say that you are a Buddhist, you are a student of a disciple of the Buddha, a student of Dhamma, how much of a good friend are you? What have you done for others? How have you helped another? Were you there for another? How were you there? Were you there because everyone else was there? Or were you the last one standing there helping? And so on and so forth. We do not spend enough time. We sometimes don't spend enough time reflecting on how we have helped or contributed to the betterment of another's life, to the benefit of another's life. The natural fixation of the mind is, how can I be better? That's a natural fixation. How can I meditate more? How should I increase my understanding of the Dhamma, and so on? That is critical and is very important. But equally important is, how do you position yourself to help others become more kusala, become anchored in wholesomeness. There was this beautiful story, and most of you are familiar with at least one part of the story. You're very familiar with it. And it's this thing about, have you heard of, there are two individuals in the world that you can never really repay the debt. Have you heard of this? And the two individuals are your parents, father and mother. And I've seen it often enough that they end here, but actually no, this is the beginning. The ending goes like this. These two, you can rub their feet, carry them on your shoulder, run up the mountain, do all kinds of obstacle courses, but you can't really repay. However, if you are able to anchor them in faith when they had no faith, anchor them in sīla, morality, when they are not into morality, anchor them on chaga, generosity. When they are not into generosity, help them develop their wisdom when they don't have much of that wisdom. When you can help your parents cultivate, develop, grow that wholesome mental states, those 4 wholesome mental states, then you had done much for them. You have more than repaid them. According to the Buddha, you had more than repay them. What does this story tell you? If you're a good friend, you will help friends develop in these 4 ways. Starting with your parents, into your siblings, into your loved ones, and into your friends, people whom you come into contact with. Then you say, yeah, but I'm not supposed to convert people. I didn't ask you to convert people. I ask you, the point here is to increase their conviction about wholesomeness. Being a Buddhist is not just believing in Buddha, it's really believing in goodness. Being a Buddhist means believing in goodness, kindness, because these very strong, moral, wholesome values will give people happiness. Help them to understand that we don't have to be so caught up in life's demands. Be a little bit more chill, you know, balance in life. So this thing about faith, and I'm just going to a bit off track now. This thing into faith, it's not just faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. It's also faith about good teachings, wise teaching. There's no harm sharing with people the teaching about mortality, impermanence. And because it's impermanent, you just take things, let things be. Don't take things too hard and get so caught up. Remember to be kind, to forgive, to embrace, to respect and honor, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. These to help people continue along this line of goodness, kindness. This is being a Buddhist. Okay? So now I think this is the last slide. Yeah. We will answer questions first.
I thought Chanda is passion in the 4 efforts, starting from that one.
No. Chanda is not passion. Translation, it's all translation. Chanda is one thing, a desire, an aspiration. So you have a spiritual aspiration, is Chanda. If you have normal akusala aspiration, desires is also Chanda. Chanda merely means one thing. Okay? Chanda means one thing. Desire. Right? Associate with the wise, don't associate with the fool. What if the fools are your own family members? Then you very jalat. What if our unwholesome friends are our close family members? Let me tell you one thing to answer this question. First and foremost, I do not believe that people cannot change. We all can change. Everyone can change. And everyone can change for wholesome. They may have certain fear. The people who are very unwholesome, right? Unwholesome. We say that, oh, they are unwholesome people. People who are unwholesome or hold a lot of anger and agitation, actually is because they have a lot of desires. When they have a lot of desires, when they have a lot of fear, unwholesome people, a lot of them have much fear. You feel compassion for people with fear, right? All of you feel compassion when you know someone is motivated by a lot of fear. You actually feel sorry for them, don't you? You feel that you really want to help. So you start off knowing and recognizing this. There are actually very few people who are truly and spectacularly and pathologically evil. There are very few. There are people who eventually become very unwholesome because they're so used to it. Used to a certain way of doing things, used to a certain way of seeing things, then become very unwholesome. But in most cases, it's a cultivated unwholesome. It's a habitual unwholesome. So how do you help? you seriously want to help, you're very determined to do it, you do it with just pure metta and love first. Meaning you don't judge, you see how much you can bring out that love. And you give the person, if this is your family member, means you can hug the person, you can say nice things to the person, you can make it very simple. Very simple, I'll give you one example. Every morning you see this sour face and you say, how are you today? You look very nice. Okay, you get, this fella doesn't look very nice. I can't feel love for this person. Then you say, your practice is not enough. Your practice enough, you bring yourself to show compassion and say, I love you, mommy. I love you, daddy. It's a good day. For that split few minutes after you can woo the fellow with wholesomeness, the person's mind actually will lighten up. It may be for a short while, but for a short while is enough for this person to experiencing a taste of what it feels like to be wholesome. You do this often enough, at some point when you come and stare at them, the fellow will smile at you first. You are on already. Your business has started. So the point here is you got to give first. You have practice or not? If you have practice, you give first. You extend the hand first. If Buddha can tolerate 𝗵𝗿𝗁 for 40 plus years, you can do it for 5 minutes. Okay, that's my bottom line. And then you say, yeah, but they're not very wholesome. They must start somewhere. And everything will start with a sense of relief. That is why our practice starts with faith. Faith has many angles to it. Huh? And one of the most beautiful part about faith is this. You don't know how it works, but you do it because you have belief, you have conviction in the Buddha. You don't know how it works, you just do it first. So the same thing. This person, you don't know whether it will change, but you have faith that the Dhamma can move. So you will do it first. You will extend the metta. You will extend that karuna, compassion. You just do it. You will shower this person with gratitude. Why gratitude? If this person is your grandmother, without your grandmother, there is no your mother or father, in which case there is no you. So you start by saying in your mind, I have gratitude to this person. Your gratitude will protect you. It will give you that shield. And then you go and you wham the fella. And if you're very scared that you might get a reverberation of anger, right? You wham the kindness and you run away. Tomorrow you can do a bit longer. Day by day by day. The next time we meet, you will see this expression. Drop by drop, the bee gathers the honey and builds it like an anthill. So the idea is drop by drop, things will change. It's neural pathways. It can change. Okay? So, give this person an unconditional hug. My mother is not into hugs. Okay? Love. Just wham. Actually, hugs always work. My mother was not into hug until I started hugging her. Now she's into it, man. She's intoxicated. So it's the same. It's really getting them used to a hug. They'll be so surprised they got a hug. And then you go from there. Huh? One by one, you go from there. Grandmother also same. Grandfather same. Just give it to them first. Okay? And then when they feel enough, when the hardness has softened a bit, that is when you can say a little bit more. Mommy, you want to donate something? Invite them to. Help them to give $50, $100, $10, doesn't matter. Invite them to partake in a dana. And it doesn't have to be your dana, meaning it's not to your monk or your temple. is to anything that will give them some joy. Is there a place, you ask, is there a place that you feel very comfortable, you go to and it gives you peace? Then they say, oh, I'm a Christian. Bring them to the church. What's your problem? Buddha never say you cannot go to church. You honor them. It's not about you. It's about them. Then you say, yeah, but I'm supposed to anchor them on faith. I already said before, faith is not just the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. It's also about goodness, kindness. You anchor them on something strongly wholesome first. Then over time, they become more receptive to what you have to say. Okay? And then you go from there. Next time, after you have reached that point where they are ready for more, then you ask the next question. Next week, two weeks time, you ask the next question. So where do we go from here? Okay? Right, frequent festivals. What festival? No. These are not Buddhist festivals. In ancient India, in fact, today, if you go to villages, all villages, they will have some events that will bring people together because in any society, there will be a need to celebrate together. So all these little villages will have one day where they set aside to worship their ancestors, or they come together and celebrate nature and that kind of thing, right? Every society, every culture have that. It's just that you are living in a modern society. You, Malaysia, KL, Singapore, all don't have this kind of big festivals of the village. But in many societies, they have. So the idea is, in ancient time, they want to find entertainment tonight. Okay, so the entertainment tonight are either festivals where the villagers will sponsor, or, this is the cute one, or what we call debate tonight. Debate. Seriously, they got town hall debates where respectable, reputable teachers of different shapes and sizes and colors will come together and they will argue their doctrine. And this is in a town hall setting. And in this town hall settings, the entire village will come and rah-rah their teachers, you know. Then when you lose, you lose everything. This kind of debate is not funny. It is a high-stake debate. And we know that because the Buddha participated in those debates. There was one big debate where the guy literally lost badly, and the entire assembly changed side. You can win big. You can massively win over villagers. Then you say, okay, win villagers, no thing. Winning villagers means win sponsorship, because they will dana their teachers. You lose the debate, you lost a lot of money. Buddha wasn't interested in the money. They came to take the Buddha on. They came to take the Buddha on in the hope of winning over the Vajan leadership. But he lost, and the result is his small following also followed the Buddha. Okay, so there's a different story. There are 3 questions. One, Chanda. Okay, this is done already, right? Between the monastic and lay life, clearly explain the material, mundane, secular, S-E-C-U-L-A-R. Material is tangible, finances, properties, assets, and so on. Your titles, your name and fame. Mundane is just as opposed to spiritual, meaning it's a life. They are similar. Material, mundane, secular, they are all very similar. These as opposed to spiritual. I don't want to use the word religious. I use the word spiritual, okay? The slight difference is really material is specifically about your assets, your money, your job, the titles, that kind of thing. To me, that's material. Things that you can count and see and hold and touch. The mundane and secular are almost identical. It means as opposed to spiritual. Okay. I think this is it, right? Any more questions?
I read you the question. Is it okay to have just a glass of wine just once for a very special occasion?
Okay lah, okay lah. What do you okay? I will say it this way, huh? Wait, hang on. Oops. Okay. There is always this controversy about alcohol. And I'm always caught in a little bind here because personally, myself, I don't drink at all. And it's just because I don't drink, full stop. I'm not dogmatic. I'm not the sort that say, you cannot. But you see, if you look at the teaching, right? If you look at how teachings were introduced over time, and right at the earliest of days, as you have seen earlier in this teaching, in Sigalovada, there was only 4 precepts right from the start, which means, in my mind, these 4 precepts will really damage you very fast if you engage in them. But with regards to drinking intoxicants, it's very problematic. It can be very problematic. But the fact that he didn't introduce this from the start then tells you you have to be wise, more measured, more balanced, more understanding in looking at this particular precept. Meaning it's not a black and white. There will be the shades. And depending on the individual, where do you plant the shade? For sure, you drink to a point where you become heedless is very problematic. It will damage your mind, for sure. But if you were to drink 1 glass, like this question is, 1 glass doesn't damage, doesn't cause problems yet. Okay, what can I say? Then some people will say, yeah, but you know, even 1 glass will fuzzy, will cause the mind to be fuzzy. I will tell you this. Many people without drinking, the mind is already fuzzy. You don't have to be very dogmatic about it. You think about it, right? How often do you drink? Oh, we all don't drink. Then how often is your mind not fuzzy? And suddenly you go, yeah. But then if I drink, it will be fuzzier. Yeah, lor, that's true. But if you are someone who has some clarity of the mind, and you know the difference between a mind that doesn't drift and the mind that is very steady, you give this person 1 glass, nothing changes much. I don't know, I'm guessing it won't change very much. So I put in a bind because I don't want people to run off saying, oh, she says it's okay to drink. I never said that. I'm saying that this is where you have to exercise judgment. If you can take that glass and really nothing changes, and you know how to stop, because sometimes drinking is not about that being drunk or being mindless. Drinking is an indulgence. Drinking can sometimes be really about loba. But then who am I to say loba when eating is also loba, ma? A lot of us also, we can eat mindlessly. So because Buddha never put a 6th precept that says, thou shalt not eat mindlessly, then we think it's okay. Any form of indulgence is an indulgence, and you do it knowing that you have conceded. That's okay. Just know that, okay? And if you think you want to take that glass, so be it. Do not look for loophole. Just know I'm taking this glass, and because I'm taking this glass, the 5th precept is already what would you call discounted. I'm taking this glass, so I'm discounting that 5th precept. You know that. And if you do that before you meditate, nothing is going to happen. Your mind won't be able to settle. That's all. Okay? So when we do things, do not be fixated about the letter. Understand the spirit of a precept. The spirit of the precept means we are avoiding doing this so that this other akusala doesn't happen. And we train ourselves in this kusala to a point that we no longer have a problem with this akusala. That's the spirit of precepts. We are taming lobha, dosa, moha, greed, anger, and hopefully in the process, we learn to be clearer in the mind. And because we are doing this training, we avoid anything that undermines this training. If you're very strict on the training, you will not touch one drop. If you are saying that we will just do a bit of the drop, it's okay, it doesn't affect me very much, so be it. Just know that you have discounted from that precept. You choose to do it with understanding, so be it. And also know that there is this indulgence in you and you like it. Just know that. There is no, oh, you die. Sure cannot go into stream really like that, sure die. Don't think of it like that. It's not so straightforward. In fact, if you were to ask me, I will say it this way, and this one I put my position clear. You want to practice well, you want to practice with all sincerity, then observe through your speech and your action and the thoughts. Keep it wholesome. If you can do that, you will not be fixated about precepts, because there is no worrying about breaking precepts. If you can observe wholesome speech, wholesome action, wholesome mind, motivation, then you know one sip is no big deal. My mind is very wholesome. When I sit, I sit. The mind can still still, that can still rise, can still be clear. And there is no agitation. You understand? Okay. Okay, so shall we continue?
One more.
Ah, yes. Should or can? No, actually, there are two questions, right?
Should or can a person avoid?
Can we neutral our mindset is one question. Meaning to say, is it okay if the mind is neutral? Neutral means what? It depends. Actually, if you look at the four right effort, it ends with wholesome. If there is wholesomeness in the mind, proliferate wholesomeness. Buddha didn't say end with neutral. It really ends with wholesomeness. Meaning to say, in your daily life, as you go about your daily life, you should actually experience metta. You walking around, there is metta in you, there's a lightness in you. And this metta, minimally is metta. Metta, you know, is a good, warm, friendly, loving, kindly feeling, okay? That one is minimal. That is when your mind is wholesome, really wholesome. And you flip it around, metta is also karuna. This is together. It's two separate mental states, but when there is metta, the chances are there will be karuna there. But mudita, upeka is a separate issue. That one is a higher level of understanding. But minimally you have metta. What does this mean? It means that when you are mindful, when your mind always drifts, right? Whose mind doesn't drift? They're always present. Chances are our mind will go for a walk, they forget to come back. Our mind tends to do that. When your mind has that habit, every time there is awareness and mindfulness, every time you're back, you know, in that awareness mode, you straight away go into metta. Don't be mindful. When you are mindful, recall metta. Actually, this is what was explained in Karaniya Metta Sutta. You protect your metta like a mother protects her only child. Why? Because if you can keep that metta with you, Your mind is always in the Dhamma. It's always in the Dhamma because the mind is always steady. If you feel the metta, the mind is steady. The mind doesn't drift. For as long as you experience the metta, your mind stays present. The moment your mind drifts, the metta also dissipates. So when you protect metta, you are protecting the mindfulness in the Dhamma, mindfulness in the Dhamma. So do we neutral? Have neutral? No neutral. Wholesome. Keep it wholesome. Okay? Should or can a person avoid siblings who are 𝗦𝗂 after years? And you mean to say that you have siblings who are not very nice, not very helpful, then you want to avoid them? You don't have to avoid them. You just let be. If they come to you for help, you help. You help where you can, with no expectation, because there's no 𝗦𝗂, you cannot expect anything. But you can still help. Because they're siblings, your parents, the next time we meet, we talk about duties of the parents, duty of children to parents. And one of the things it said there is, you will do their duty for them. And what does it mean? Helping to look after your sibling is one of your duty, no? So there is a part in you that where people are your bloodline ties, you have no choice but to be there for them. Your choice is how wise you manage that relationship. How wise? How much you can influence them, how much you can help them. And can you, by your own action and your own choices, show them the way to heaven? Show them what is wholesome. Sometimes they are not ready, but they can still see. We are conditional beings. All of us are conditional beings. We see, we learn. We can learn wrongly, we can have wrong takeaway. But you see 10 times, eventually the right one will still surface. It depends on your patience. Can you keep doing it without expectations? If you are a practitioner and you are upholding the Buddha's Dhamma, you will say, we will manage. We will do our best. And then we have no expectations. And then when things happen like that, long, it's okay. We will just bear with it. 这是你的 vipaka, your vipaka, your layman karma. Your vipaka means the fruit of karma. This is what you have to carry. But if you have the faith and project that wholesomeness, in time, they will also notice. What you want is at some point, you can stimulate in them, you can stir up in them the sense of shame. 𝗍𝗲𝗄𝗏. If you can stir up in them the sense of shame, half your journey is won. You don't have to convert them into Buddhists and make them wholesome. You only have to stir. You do so much kindness and goodness, and at some point they'll feel bad. The feeling bad is where the 𝗍𝗲 comes up. The 𝗍𝗲, the conscience comes up. When the conscience comes up, you had already done your best for them. Because conscience is what will take them back to the right path. Okay? You don't have to change people. You only have to bring up conditions. When the conditions come up, at some point they will change. Okay? I think that's it, huh? Okay, that's it. So, if you have experienced joy today in listening to this talk, we will now, every week I do this, and this is going to be my trademark for the rest of talks that I give, maybe tweak a bit of the words, but I want you to just quietly look at the words and feel the words. Because we are here 2,500 years and we're still enjoying, we're still having access to the Dhamma. We are very fortunate. This generation here, we're very fortunate. We still have this. And so I would like all of you to just reflect on the words. If you had experienced joy listening to the Dhamma, do honor him by putting into practice his teaching, his first teaching to the lay community. His first teaching was dana, vicāga. Donate to a worthy charity or spiritual organization of your choice. I mean this. I'm not asking you to donate to something I recommend. In your mind, you must always remember that if they are worthy, it means they are wholesome and they are looking after vulnerable beings who need help. And they cannot survive without some funds, without support. This is where you, as the practicing Buddhist, comes in and offer your help and support. Whether it is in terms of money or in terms of time and effort. Okay? I said also that we must never take for granted the blessings that we are enjoying in this life. The fact that we live in countries that allow us to practice as we wish, our parents do not stop us, and sometimes they are even helpful to us. We have Dhamma friends with us when we practice. We have access to the Dhamma at the fingertip, at the tip of your fingers. You can call up suttas. These are blessings, incredible blessings. And you come by these blessings because your forefathers, your forerunners, meaning the previous version of us, had done right. So we must continue to do right for the ones who come after. Unless you say, I'm now an Arahant, there will be no after. Oh, okay, congratulations. But the chances are we are not lah. So there will be other versions coming along after us. So we must do all the right things for them. And this is my ardent wish. May the Dhamma last long. May we continue to enjoy supportive conditions for learning and practice. And may we never deviate from the true Dhamma as long as life lasts. Okay? Okay. In your mind, if you feel joy, this is where you share. Share the merits. Okay? And recite the words in Pali and in English. 𝗍𝗏𝗯𝗭 sampadang punya sampadang. Sabbe dewa anumodantu sabba sampatisiddhya. 𝗍𝗏𝗯𝗭 sampadang punya sampadang. Sabbe buddha anumodantu sabba sampatisiddhya. 𝗍𝗏𝗯𝗭 sampadang punya sampadang. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatisiddhya. Whatever merits that we have thus acquired, may devas, beings, and humans partake of it. May it contribute greatly to their happiness. Now, recall your relatives, your past relatives, departed loved ones. Invite them to come here and share. You must first feel the joy, the gratitude, the happiness of being a Buddhist who can enjoy the Dhamma and experience the Dhamma. As you feel that joy, you feel that piti, then you say this, okay? Repeat 3 times. Idam me niyatinang hotu sukita hontu niyatayo. Idam me niyatinang hotu sukita hontu niyatayo. Idam me niyatinang hotu sukita hontu niyatayo. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives. May they be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.